Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question tonight. What are you tolerating in your life? What have you allowed to become your normal? Because the truth is this, you don't get what you want. You don't get what you pray for. You don't even get what you deserve. You get what you're willing to tolerate. If you can raise your standards, you can raise your life. If you can shift what you accept, you can shift what you attract. Or see, too many people are walking around frustrated with the life they're living, but the reality is, you trained your life to respond to your level of expectation. You trained people how to treat you. You trained your environment what to give you. If you want better, you've got to become better. If you want greater, you've got to set greater standards. Stop asking for a king while living like a servant. Stop asking for overflow while settling for crumbs. Raise your standards and you will attract a better life. Can I preach this tonight? Because I feel somebody in this room is on the verge of a breakthrough, but your breakthrough is waiting on your decision to say, enough is enough. I refuse to live beneath my calling, beneath my destiny, beneath the promise that God has for me. Somebody shout, raise your sword. What you tolerate, you invite. Let that settle in your spirit for a moment. Every time you allow something beneath your value to stay in your life, you are sending an invitation for it to come back again. Life does not simply give you what you hope for. It gives you what you are willing to live with. And too many of us have lowered our standards so much that we've become comfortable with things that are slowly killing our destiny. You can't keep tolerating disrespect, lack, toxic relationships, unhealthy habits, and then expect life to deliver peace, abundance, and joy. It doesn't work that way. What you tolerate, you invite. If you want life to rise to meet you, then you must raise your standards. Think about it. If you leave your door wide open at night, you cannot complain about what comes in. If you don't set a standard for your own protection, you leave yourself vulnerable to anything. And yet in our lives, we do the same thing. We complain about being drained, but we keep tolerating people who take and never give. We complain about being broke, but we tolerate laziness, procrastination, and excuses. We complain about being overlooked, but we tolerate mediocrity in how we prepare, how we present, how we show up. Life rises to meet the standard you set. If you set no standard, you get no change. If you set a low standard, you will live a low life. But if you dare to raise that standard, the level of what you attract begins to shift. You see, raising your standards isn't just about saying, I deserve better. It's about living better. It's about aligning your actions with your words. Because the universe, because God Himself responds not just to what you say, but to what you demonstrate. You can't keep declaring, I'm blessed and highly favored, and then walk back into environments that contradict your declaration. At some point, you've got to stand flat-footed and say, enough is enough. I will not tolerate beneath what God created me to be. That decision right there, that line in the sand, that's the moment when everything begins to change. Some of you are frustrated right now, not because life is unfair, but because you are still tolerating what you should have shut down years ago. You are tolerating conversations that drain your energy. You are tolerating habits that sabotage your progress. You are tolerating people who do not see your value. And because you have tolerated it, life has interpreted it as permission. The moment you change what you accept, life has to adjust. When you stop tolerating disrespect, people are forced to either honor you or leave. When you stop tolerating mediocrity in your work, excellence begins to open doors for you. When you stop tolerating poverty-minded thinking, you start to see opportunities for increase. It's not that life is holding out on you. It's that you have been holding the door open for things that were never meant to stay. This is why raising your standards is not optional if you want a better life. It is necessary. It is a declaration to heaven and earth that you know who you are and what you will no longer accept. It is not arrogance, it is awareness. It is not pride, it is positioning. When a king sits on a throne, he does not apologize for it. When a queen carries herself with dignity, she does not shrink for it, and neither should you. The crown you carry is not made of gold, it is made of purpose. And if you tolerate things that pull you beneath that purpose, you risk losing the very life you were designed to live. So I challenge you right here and right now to look at your life and ask yourself, what have I been tolerating that I need to evict? What habits have I been feeding that keep me weak? What people have I been entertaining who keep me small? What excuses have I been nurturing that keep me stuck? Because until you confront it, you will keep inviting it. Until you refuse it, you will keep reliving it. What you tolerate, you invite. Raise your standards and watch how life begins to rise to meet you. When you make the decision to stop settling, something shifts. When you set the bar higher, something awakens in you. You begin to attract people who honor the new level you've chosen. You begin to see doors open that were invisible before. You begin to experience a confidence that comes not from what others say about you, but from what you finally said about yourself. That is the power of raising your standards. It is the bridge between where you are and where you've always been destined to be. And if you're ready for life to change, don't wait for the world to move. Move your standard and the world will follow. You cannot attract greatness while living in mediocrity. You cannot expect to pull in excellence when you are comfortable with average. Life is a mirror and it reflects back to you the level of energy, discipline, and expectation you put into it. If you live small, you attract small. If you think small, you receive small. If you walk around with a low expectation, life will deliver you low experiences. But when you raise your standard of expectation, when you carry yourself like someone who was designed for more, your environment begins to shift and respond to that expectation. Too many people are frustrated because they want greatness, but they are sowing seeds of mediocrity. They want abundance, but operate with scarcity. They want joy, but keep rehearsing pain. They want relationships filled with love, but they stay in circles that are toxic and draining. You cannot live one way and attract the opposite. There is a law of alignment in life. What you carry within, you will show up around you. If your inner life is sloppy, your outer life will eventually reveal the same. If you walk with discipline, if you carry vision, if you move with purpose, life begins to align itself with the weight of your expectation. Think about a magnet. A magnet cannot pull in what it does not have the capacity to hold. The strength of the magnet determines what comes to it, and the same is true for you. You cannot pull greatness towards you if you are not living at a level that can sustain it. Mediocrity has no magnetic pull. Mediocrity does not demand attention. Mediocrity does not attract opportunities. Mediocrity sits quietly in the corner while greatness passes it by. But when you begin to step into your true identity, when you begin to live with excellence, your life starts pulling on the very things you once thought were out of reach. Your environment is not neutral. It is a reflection of your expectation. If you expect little, life gives you little. If you expect to fail, you will find proof of failure everywhere. But if you expect to win, if you expect favor, if you expect increase, then even in the midst of adversity, doors begin to crack open that others don't see. You start noticing opportunities because your expectation has trained your eyes to see differently. People around you start treating you differently because you are no longer carrying yourself with the weight of mediocrity. You have shifted, you have elevated, you have raised your expectation. Greatness will never come knocking at the door of a life that is satisfied with average. You cannot pray for a palace and live like a prisoner. You cannot cry out for a breakthrough and still live bound by excuses. If you want greatness, then you have to stretch yourself. You have to prepare your environment for what you are believing for. If you want to attract health, you cannot keep feeding your body habits that destroy it. If you want wealth, you cannot keep spending like someone who has no vision for tomorrow. If you want powerful relationships, you cannot keep surrounding yourself with people who settle for less. You cannot attract greatness while living in mediocrity. The truth is, mediocrity is easy. Mediocrity requires no discipline, no sacrifice, no courage. It lets you stay comfortable. It lets you stay safe. But the danger of mediocrity is that it numbs you. It convinces you that good enough is enough. It keeps you surviving when you were created to thrive. It keeps you fitting in when you were born to stand out. It keeps you on the ground when you were designed to fly. And as long as you settle for it, you block the greatness that is trying to reach you. You see, greatness doesn't chase you. It waits for you. It waits for you to rise up, to declare that you are ready, to prepare your environment for its arrival. The reason so many never walk into their full potential is not because greatness was unavailable, but because mediocrity was too comfortable. Your environment responds to your expectation. If you raise it, life rises. If you lower it, life shrinks. If you demand more from yourself, life gives more to you. So today, make a decision to leave mediocrity behind. Stop apologizing for expecting more. Stop lowering your standard to fit into rooms you've outgrown. Stop adjusting your dream to fit into the comfort zone of others. Raise your expectation. Raise your discipline. Raise your focus. Raise your work ethic and watch how life begins to shift in your favor. Watch how doors that were once closed begin to open. Watch how people who ignored you begin to notice you. Watch how opportunities that seem far away begin to draw near. You cannot attract greatness while living in mediocrity. The moment you choose to rise above average, greatness has no choice but to come looking for you. Your life will always respond to your expectation, so expect more, live higher, and watch the environment around you transform. People will only treat you according to the standard you set. You cannot expect people to honor you if you do not first honor yourself. You cannot demand respect while living beneath your own values. Life, relationships, and opportunities all take their cue from how you carry yourself. If you carry yourself with dignity, if you speak with authority, if you walk in integrity, people have no choice but to respond to the standard you have set. But if you tolerate being disrespected, if you keep lowering yourself to fit into places you've outgrown, then don't be surprised when others treat you like you have no value. The standard you set is the standard you receive. Let me tell you something, respect is not begged for, it is lived out. People can hear your words, but they believe your actions. You can say all day long that you want to be respected, but if you allow disrespectful people to stay in your circle, you are training them to keep disrespecting you. If you let people talk to you any kind of way, treat you any kind of way, use you, abuse you, and drain you, then you have told them without speaking that it is okay. And once you've tolerated it, you have invited it. Respect is demanded not by force, but by consistency. You demand respect by living respect. Think about how you carry yourself. Do you show up with excellence, or do you show up halfway? Do you keep your word, or do you make promises you never keep? Do you honor others, or do you only look for honor when it's convenient? See, respect is reciprocal. If you dishonor others, it's difficult to expect them to honor you. If you disrespect your own time, why should anyone else value it? If you don't respect your own body, your own dreams, your own vision, why would anyone else invest in it? People take cues from you. They are watching how you handle yourself, and they will treat you according to the example you've set. The tragedy for many people is that they cry out about being mistreated while they keep lowering the bar for themselves. You can't keep living like a servant and expect to be treated like royalty. You can't keep giving away your value and expect people to suddenly treasure you. You cannot expect others to rise higher when you have decided to live lower. At some point, you've got to step back and say, wait a minute, I am worth more than this. I am called to more than this. I am carrying too much destiny to be disrespected like this. I will not live beneath my standard another day. When you raise the way you live, you raise the way people treat you. When you honor your time, your boundaries, your commitments, people start realizing they can't just treat you any kind of way. When you respect yourself enough to walk away from toxic environments, you show others that access to you is a privilege, not a right. When you respect your own gift, your own calling, your own assignment, people begin to align themselves with the greatness inside of you. But if you treat yourself carelessly, people will treat you carelessly. If you live recklessly, people will assume your life has no weight. If you carry yourself lightly, people will assume you are easy to dismiss. This is why setting standards is not arrogance, it is necessity. It is not about thinking you are better than anyone else. It is about recognizing that you are too valuable to live beneath your purpose. A diamond doesn't beg to be treated like a diamond. Its very nature demands it. Gold doesn't ask for people to value it. Its worth speaks for itself. And if you are created in the image of God, if you are walking with divine purpose on your life, then you cannot afford to live like dirt when you were made like treasure. People will treat you according to the standard you set. So ask yourself today, what standard have you been showing the world? What have you been silently allowing? What doors have you left open for disrespect to walk in? What patterns in your own behavior have trained people to treat you less than you deserve? Because the truth is, you don't just teach others how to treat you with your words, you teach them with your life. Every decision, every boundary, every yes, and every no sends a message about your standard. If you want respect, live with respect. Respect your body enough to feed it with discipline. Respect your mind enough to fill it with wisdom. Respect your time enough not to waste it on things that don't serve your destiny. Respect your calling enough to protect it from distraction. When you begin to live that way, people who don't belong at your table will remove themselves, and people who were destined to pour into your life will start showing up. Respect attracts respect. Honor attracts honor. Value attracts value. So make up your mind today to stop settling for disrespect. Stop accepting treatment that does not align with your purpose. Stop giving discounts on your value. Live with respect, carry yourself with honor, and set the kind of standard that forces the world to adjust. Because the truth is, people will only treat you according to the standard you set. And when you decide to demand respect by living respect, you open the door for a whole new level of relationships, opportunities, and favor to enter your life. God's promises require your participation. You cannot sit back, fold your arms, and expect heaven to drop blessings in your lap without you ever moving your feet. Faith is not passive, faith is active. Faith is not sitting and waiting. Faith is moving and believing. You cannot say you have faith in God's promises while you refuse to align your standards, your habits, and your choices with what you are asking for. If you want the blessing, you've got to prepare the ground. If you want the harvest, you've got to sow the seed. If you want the miracle, you've got to step into the water. God's promises require your participation. Some people are frustrated because they keep asking God for more, but they have not raised their standards to hold what they are praying for. They are asking God for overflow while living with a bare minimum mentality. They are asking God for promotion while showing up late to their current assignment. They are asking God for a kingdom marriage while tolerating relationships that break their spirit. They are asking God for increase while living with careless discipline. Hear me, your faith must match your standards. You cannot pray for excellence and live sloppy. You cannot pray for expansion and stay small. You cannot pray for abundance and keep your mind in scarcity. Faith without works is dead, and standards without faith are empty. But when faith and standards come together, that's when doors open. That's when promises manifest. That's when miracles happen. Look through Scripture and you'll see it over and over again. When the woman with the issue of blood pressed through the crowd, it was her faith that healed her, but it was her action that proved her faith. When Peter stepped out of the boat to walk on water, it was faith that made the impossible possible, but it was his decision to step that activated it. When Joshua and the Israelites marched around the walls of Jericho, the walls did not fall because they talked about it. The walls fell because they obeyed, because their faith was matched with action. God's promises have always required human participation. So let me ask you, what are you believing for but not preparing for? What are you praying for but not working toward? What doors are you asking God to open while your hands remain folded in complacency? God will do his part, but you must do yours. His promise is sure, but your participation is necessary. Stop waiting for everything to line up perfectly and start walking in obedience with what you already know. Stop asking for confirmation after confirmation when God has already given you instruction. Stop waiting for opportunity to knock while you refuse to build the character that can hold it. God is faithful, but he will not waste his promise on unprepared vessels. And this is why your standards matter, because your standards are the evidence of your faith. If you believe God is going to bless you with greater, then live like you're preparing for greater. If you believe God is going to open doors for you, then walk like someone who's ready to step through them. If you believe God is going to bring the right people into your life, then stop entertaining the wrong ones. If you believe God has called you to leadership, then start living with the integrity and discipline of a leader today. Don't wait until the blessing shows up to raise your standard. Raise your standard now and let your faith pull the promise into manifestation. The truth is, God's promises are yes and amen. They're already settled in heaven. The question is, are you settled enough in yourself to receive them? God has no shortage of blessings, no shortage of opportunities, no shortage of favor. But he is not going to pour new wine into old wineskins. He is not going to give you more when you keep mishandling what you already have. He is not going to elevate you if you refuse to raise your standard. Faith says, I believe it. But standards say, I'm ready for it. Faith opens the door, but standards keep you in the room. So today, make up your mind to stop separating the two. Do not let your mouth speak faith while your life speaks compromise. Do not let your prayers go up while your standards stay down. If you really believe God is about to bless you, then prepare yourself. Clean up what needs to be cleaned up. Let go of what needs to be released. Discipline what needs to be brought into order. Because the promise is coming, but only those who are ready will walk into it. God's promises require your participation, and your faith must match your standards. When your prayers align with your preparation, when your belief matches your behavior, When your expectation meets your execution, that's when heaven and earth come together to manifest God's best in your life. And if you're willing to raise your standard, to stretch your faith, and to move your feet, you won't have to chase the promise. The promise will chase you down. When you elevate your standards, you eliminate excuses. Excuses are the language of mediocrity. Excuses are the bed that comfort builds for failure to sleep in. Excuses keep you from rising, from stretching, from becoming who you were created to be. But when you make the decision to raise your standards, when you look at your life and say, I will no longer accept beneath what I was designed for, suddenly the room for excuses disappears. Excuses only survive where low standards lie, but when you lift the bar, when you demand more of yourself, excuses starve to death, and transformation begins to walk through the door. Think about it, every excuse is a justification for staying the same. I can't do it because I don't have time. That's an excuse rooted in a low standard of discipline. I can't move forward because I don't have the right connections. That's an excuse rooted in a low standard of faith and initiative. I can't change because this is just who I am. That's an excuse rooted in a low standard of belief. But when you raise your standards, when you decide that your time is valuable, when you decide that your connections do not limit your destiny, when you decide that who you are is not who you have to be, then suddenly those excuses lose their power. You rise and transformation begins. Transformation never comes to people who are comfortable. Transformation is attracted to those who are hungry. And hunger grows when standards rise. When you raise your standard, you begin to feel the holy dissatisfaction with where you are. You begin to feel that stirring inside that says, there has to be more. I cannot stay here. I cannot keep living at this level. That's the moment where excuses lose their grip and destiny starts knocking at your door. Excuses always look for a place to hide. They hide behind your habits. They hide behind your fear. They hide behind your comfort zone. They hide behind what people have said about you. But when you elevate your standards, you turn the light on in the room of your life, and excuses have nowhere to hide. They get exposed. You start to realize that the only thing standing between you and the next level wasn't God holding back, wasn't other people stopping you, wasn't circumstances beyond your control. It was the excuses you fed. It was the lies you told yourself about why you couldn't. But when you raise the bar, when you stop accepting the lies, when you start demanding more of yourself, transformation shows up. Transformation is not magic. Transformation is not luck. Transformation is not reserved for the chosen few. Transformation is the inevitable result of refusing to live beneath your calling. When you say, I will not make excuses for my laziness anymore. I will not make excuses for my fear anymore. I will not make excuses for my environment anymore. I will rise, I will change, I will grow. That's when transformation shows up. Not before, not when it's convenient, not when it feels easy, but when you've made the decision to elevate your standards. And let me tell you, transformation is not just about what happens outside of you, it's about what happens inside first. When your standards rise, your mindset changes. When your standards rise, your discipline shifts. When your standards rise, your conversations shift. When your standards rise, your relationships shift. Transformation starts inside, and then it shows up outside. People start to notice that you walk differently, talk differently, carry yourself differently. Opportunities start to notice you, favor starts to find you, not because something magical happened, but because you stopped living with excuses and started living with standards. Excuses make you small, standards make you strong. Excuses keep you chained, standards set you free. Excuses keep you blind, standards give you vision. And when you choose to live by higher standards, you are saying to the world, I will not be defined by my past, I will not be trapped by my fear. I will not be held back by my circumstances. I will not settle for anything less than what God has for me. That decision, that shift, that elevation is the key to transformation. So stop waiting for transformation to come find you. Transformation is waiting on you to elevate your standard. It's waiting on you to say, no more excuses. It's waiting on you to rise above mediocrity, to silence the lies, to outgrow the comfort zone. Transformation is waiting on you to align your actions with your destiny. And the moment you do it, the moment you raise your standard, excuses die, and a new version of you is born. Because here's the truth, transformation is not a someday thing. It's a decision thing. It's not waiting on time. It's waiting on you. It's not dependent on luck. It's dependent on standards. And the higher you raise your standards, the greater the transformation that will break loose in your life. Elevate your standards, eliminate your excuses, and step into the life you were always meant to live. So hear me tonight. What you tolerate, you invite. Life will keep sending you the same broken patterns, the same toxic people, the same empty cycles until you raise your standard and declare, I will not live beneath my calling another day. You cannot attract greatness while living in mediocrity. If you want God to enlarge your territory, then stop shrinking yourself to fit in. If you want to see abundance, then Swamp's living like survival is all you were made for. Your environment will rise to meet your expectation. And people, oh yes, people will only treat you according to the standard you set. Stop letting others write the script for your worth. Stop lowering your value just to keep company with those who don't see your light. If you want respect, live with respect. If you want honor, walk in honor. If you want to be treated like royalty, stop crawling on the floor of compromise, carry yourself with dignity and watch the world respond. But remember this, God's promises require your participation. You cannot keep praying for heaven to move while your life stays still. You cannot say, Lord, send the blessing while your habits reject it. You cannot cry for breakthrough while you refuse to break away from mediocrity. Faith without works is dead. Promise without participation is empty. If you really believe it's coming, prepare yourself like it's already here. And when you elevate your standards, when you finally decide enough is enough, something shifts. Excuses disappear, chains fall off, transformation walks in the room. The same mouth that used to say, I can't, begins to declare, I will. The same life that was once stuck in cycles begins to move into new seasons. Because when you raise your standard, you open the door for transformation, and there is no devil in hell, no critic on earth, no obstacle in your way that can stop the destiny God has placed inside of you. So this is your moment. This is your wake-up call. Stop waiting for the perfect time. Stop waiting for the right people to approve you. Stop waiting for someone else to lift you. God has already placed the seed of greatness inside of you. Now it's on you to protect it, nurture it, and raise your life to the level of that calling. Raise your standard and watch how life begins to rise with you. Raise your standard and watch how people begin to treat you differently. Raise your standard and watch how faith comes alive in your actions. Raise your standard and watch how excuses fall off your tongue. Raise your standard and watch how transformation becomes your reality. I dare you right now to declare no more excuses, no more mediocrity, no more settling, no more lowering myself to fit where I don't belong. From this day forward, I will raise my standards and attract the life God has always intended for me. And if you believe it, if you're ready for it, if you're willing to step into it, somebody open your mouth, lift your voice and shout with me, I am raising my standards and my life will never be the same.